Annyeonghaseyo! Hello, here's another video update from me. It's been a little bit, but hey, I am YOLOing it in Yeongju. I am a busy lady these days. I am living it up and doing things. So these little videos, I still try to make time to do them so that I can share my experiences. But I've been kind of busy. Like this weekend, I was in Jindo for the Parting of the Sea Festival. How did that go? Glad you asked, let me tell you. So during orientation, they talk about different festivals that we can go to. And it kind of seems like Austin in the sense that there's something going on every single weekend here in Korea. And you just have to pick and choose what you want to go to. But this was one that we've been looking forward to. Parting of the Sea Festival happens. The sea is supposed to be at low levels just one time a year that you're able to walk from Jindo to the island. I don't know what the island's name is, but you're supposed to walk there. And they have this big festival about it, and we thought it was really cool, so we decided to go down. It's this little remote town, so it's hard to get there. And so instead of doing transfers and lodging on our own, we decided to go through this company called Adventure Korea. They handled all of the logistics, but we had to get up to Seoul to be able to get on the bus. And it's not really directly convenient from where we're actually going, but we decided for our sake it was the best bet. So my friend Lori and I went, and we went to Seoul the night before, kind of hung out, stayed at the Kimchi guest house, and left early the next morning. That's where we were joined by, we were a group of 8 of us total, but at the festival it seemed like 70% of the talk program was there. I saw people that I hadn't seen since I left orientation. There were so many of us there. It was nice to see some of the different people. But so we went down, and they had a couple of things for us to see on the way to Jindo. They had this show. We went to this theater, and they had songs and dances. A little weird about it is that they didn't sell tickets, and we didn't have seats, so we were standing in the aisles or sitting in the aisles for about 2 hours, and there seemed like there was no concern about fire safety because we were packed in there pretty good. And it was an interesting show. At the end, we went outside and got to dance around, and people from the show were just grabbing you and dancing, and so that was pretty cool. Also saw the Jindo dog show because there's a special breed of dogs here, and they're supposed to be very smart and intelligent, and I got to see puppies, and that always makes me smile. So the night before the festival, they had a big kind of venue where they had different bands playing, and so when we got in, we checked in, and kind of walked around the beaches and looked around and listened to the music. The place we stayed was this youth center hostel, and there was the 8 of us, and they put us in this room, and there was no beds. It was just a couple of blankets on the floor. They had a big old window but no curtain. They didn't have towels. They gave us one small roll of toilet paper. It was very minimal accommodations, which was fine because we weren't there that long anyways. But still, things that probably would never do in the United States is stay in a room like that. But again, YOLO in Korea here. Went, and the festival started. We had to wake up at 3:30. We woke up at 3, had to meet at 3:30, and then we actually got walking at 4:30. We had bought these boots, bright old orange boots that go up to your knees, which actually kept us dry, because I hate wet socks. I hate it. So we were pretty dry, but we also had these rain slickers on. And then they give us these torches. I mean, we're all around, packed in, trying to walk out to the water, and we've got all this flammable material, and we're trying to carry these torches, and then you actually go in the water, and the stones are huge, and then you have like sinkholes, and they're slimy, and you're just trying not to fall over. I had my camera with me, of course. Don't go anywhere without it. And I was like, oh man, I really don't want it to get wet. So it was challenging. And if you didn't have the torches, it was hard to see. And the torches kept going out because, again, this is like 4:35 in the morning. We walk about a half mile out there, and they're like, no, stop. You can't go any further. The tides are going to come back in. It's going to be dangerous, and the water's too deep. So we didn't actually get to finish and walk over to the island like we were hoping to. I don't know how often that it happens that you can't walk to the island. So it was a little disappointing, but when we were in the water, it did have this big fireworks show. And it was a moment. So it was nice. We got back, and all the tents that were all around the booths, none of them were open. I thought the festival would have been like right then and there. But no, nothing was going on. So we went back to sleep until lunchtime. And then at lunchtime they had different booths going on, and people were at the stage. And we did that for a couple hours, and then we got on the bus. So we took the bus at like 1:30 p.m. And I didn't get back home until about 3 a.m. And this is why. So the bus took us back to Seoul. And it took a little longer to get to Seoul because the traffic was pretty high. The Avengers 2 is being shot in Seoul, for those of you that didn't know. And so that kind of blocked off some high traffic areas. But I didn't think traffic was too bad being Seoul. And then in Seoul, we had to get our way back home to our towns. And there was me and the 3 ladies from Angdong, and everyone else got their way home. And we didn't book tickets in advance because we didn't know what time we would get back, nor did we realize that the buses would sell out to our small little towns, which they totally did. And so we're like, oh man, what are we going to do? They're booked out for the rest of the day. Well, there is this little Korean man. I guess I don't need to say Korean man. Obviously, it's a Korean man. Was there, and he helped get us tickets. And so he magically got us 4 tickets to a sold-out bus. But there was only one for the earlier time, and the other 3 had to wait. They gave me the earlier time because I had to transfer again after Andong to get to Yeongju. So my friends were nice, and they let me go first, and then they waited to go after. And then worst case scenario, if I couldn't get a ride back that night, either bus or train, I was just going to stay with them when they got back. And so I get to Andong, and there's no more buses for the rest of the night. It's not that they're full, there's just not any up to Yeongju. And this lady that was in Seoul that rode the bus back, she heard, and she went with me, and she's like, well, let's try the train station. I live right by there. Here, I'll give you a ride. So I'm like, all right. I jumped in the car with this lady, but it was her father, and her first grader son. So it wasn't like they were sketchy people. And so I went, and the train station said the only ticket to Yeongju was at 2:20 in the morning. Like, oh geez, it's like 11 o'clock at night right then. And I'm like, well, I have no other options. I have to teach tomorrow. So that's what I did, is I bought the ticket, and the lady, again, she went with me, and she made sure I could get the ticket okay. And she's like, all right, well, you can come back to my house and hang out at my house, and then come back to the train station. And normally I would probably have been like, that's okay, I'll just wait here. But she seemed really nice, and I didn't want to wait for hours in the train station. So I went back with her, and it was cute because I had never actually been inside a Korean home before. I get to see, other people's apartments that are English teachers, but I haven't really been in someone's house other than that, and got to see the layout. And she was nice. She kept on like, I can make you dumplings, I can make you noodles. And I'm like, it's 11 o'clock at night, I don't want food. She kept offering to make me everything. She was talking about all these trips and places that I could go and she could take me, and very welcoming. She gave me her number. She gave me a couple pairs of socks because, again, Korea's pretty famous for socks, and she had bought a whole bunch of them over the weekend. She was showing me what she bought over the weekend, and I was showing her my pictures of the weekend. And her little boy, his name is Yon Bean, and so I call him Jelly Bean, and he like giggled. So I was playing with him, and we watched like The Simpsons, and we watched football, aka soccer, and we watched baseball, and he does taekwondo too, so he was doing different kicks, and I was kind of like, can you tap this? And I'm like, yeah, can you do that? And back and forth. I mean, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, but this kid was full of energy, and they were just very, hospitable towards me. And just sitting on his bed, talking to him in English, and he was the cutest kid. All Asian kids are cute, but like, some of them are more cute than others. And so I'm just sitting there with them until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I walk over to get on the train, and I get finally the train comes. I'm like, thank God the train's here. And someone's asleep in my seat. She's like laying diagonal across my seat, and I'm not gonna wake her up. So then I'm like hunting the cars to find a spare seat, and I finally did. I finally made it back to Yeongju, and I finally took a cab to get back home. And that was my very long weekend for spending time in the water. But it was an experience, and I would say that spending the time with the family almost was the top. But it was good to see friends too, especially some people I haven't seen in a long time. So.